After more than 100 car break-ins, a Central Kentucky sheriff says a huge theft ring has been busted.
Did Ryan Lochte lie, and if so, why? The latest on the U.S. Olympic swimmers' claims about being robbed in Rio.
Homeowners say this tree is probably hundreds of years old, and yesterday it came toppling to the ground. The homeowner's theory on what happened coming up.
This is WKYT News at Noon.
Welcome to WKYT News at Noon. I'm Barbara Bailey, and here's Bill Bryant.
And here's what's happening at noon. Guns, tools, phones, even shoes. Those are just some of the items a Central Kentucky sheriff says were stolen from more than 100 cars.
This midday, police say they've made 3 arrests. Now they're trying to return the stolen property. Victor Puente is in Franklin County with our top story at noon. Victor?
The investigators believe there are more victims in this case, people who may not even realize they had items stolen. They also anticipate making more arrests. The Franklin County Sheriff says they arrested Justin Hendershot at his home on Schenkel Lane after they found numerous stolen items at his home. They say he and 2 juveniles broke into hundreds of cars and trucks across Franklin and Anderson counties. They say the group stole guns, cell phones, tools, and clothes from those vehicles. Hendershot is charged with receiving stolen property, but they expect to file more charges and make more arrests.
You know, they've got 100 cases. Scott County's got a couple cases. You know, Shelby County's got a couple cases. We've got about 100. Frankfort's got cases. So, I mean, all that together, but the communication, you know, we recognize the county boundaries. The bad guys don't.
Detectives are still trying to inventory all of those items. They say they have several firearms that they believe are stolen, but they say the owners either didn't have the serial numbers or haven't realized yet that they've been taken. They hope those victims will come forward as they see this. In Franklin County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Sheriff Pat Melton says the group may also be responsible for some crimes in Shelby and Scott counties.
Well, it didn't last very long, but today's rain has caused some flash flooding in Rockcastle County. Check out these eyewitness pictures from Brandon Bishop in the Ottawa community there. You can see a road and a field were covered by water, and that heavy rainmaker has since moved on to the east. There is still a chance of more rain today, and they will be tracking some cooler temperatures as we hit the weekend, and it looks really good next week. WKYT meteorologist Micah Harris is live in our First Alert Weather Center.
Yeah, none of this is very impressive as what you see on radar. However, you can get some falling on over one location and adding up very rapidly. And you saw in those pictures, that was an area that was low-lying in between 2 hills. That's exactly what you can expect with systems like these, where you get one shower, one thunderstorm over another. You can see that in Stanford, at least close to it, in Crab Orchard. That area right through there, right along 150 in between Stanford and Crab Orchard. We need to watch very closely because that's some heavy rain that's been there for a little bit, quite some time. So we just need to watch that closely. Like I was talking about Bradfordsville as well, back toward 150 and 68, that is, back toward Lebanon and Marion County. Those are areas that if you have any low-lying areas in those regions, you will get some flash flooding. There's no doubt about it. 75 degrees in Frankfort, and that goes for Lexington, too, coming in at 79. We'll finish off upper 70s, lower 80s. Most of this activity is southbound for today. South of I-64 is your best bet. And what we're really going to be focusing in on as we travel throughout the next couple of days is storms will remain with us, but it's just not for everybody. I'm going to show you who I expect to see the rain today and tomorrow, and also that weekend forecast coming up.
Thank you, Micah. It's a story we've been tracking for months. Governor Matt Bevin and Attorney General Andy Beshear are letting the state's highest courts settle their dispute over state funding for public colleges. WKYT's Phil Pendleton is outside the Kentucky Supreme Court, where oral arguments continue. Phil?
Court began about 10 o'clock this morning. It just ended a few moments ago. The justices heard arguments from both the governor and the attorney general with their respective attorneys. We're also hearing from an attorney with the Kentucky State Treasurer. Now, at issue is Governor Bevin's executive order last spring to trim 4.5% from university budgets. The attorney general filed a lawsuit saying the governor acted illegally because those spending decisions are solely up to the legislature. The Franklin Circuit Court judge ruled in favor of the governor, saying he acted within his duties, but now the Supreme Court has the issue as it was appealed. An attorney for the Attorney General says the case goes directly to the separation of power. He says it does show the legislature has the standing of power it needs. An attorney for the governor argued that the adoption of a budget is the role of the legislature, but the executive branch, the governor, has the right to administer those funds. Now, the attorney for the Attorney General questioned how paying staff and college teachers is irresponsible, and he says the Constitution requires the legislature is the body to find common ground. Bevin's attorney said in this case the governor simply has used the ability to spend less money. We're going to have a lot more on this, still trying to go through all the facts and the arguments that were presented this morning. Much more later today, but for now in Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Phil, thank you. And the Supreme Court heard arguments for more than an hour and a half this morning. Their ruling will come later.
New at noon, 2 men are in jail accused of beating a man and stealing his car. Nicholasville police say the victim was found on Hickory Hill with injuries to his face. The victim told them that he was giving 2 men a ride home from a bar when they beat him up and stole his black Toyota Prius. Police found that car at a Taco Bell in Anderson County, and they've arrested Christopher Damrell and Joseph Penny. Both are charged with robbery.
Updated legislation could be in the works following WKYT's investigation into unfit animal shelters. Last summer, we uncovered animal shelters that did not meet the state's minimum standards set by a 2004 law. It turns out no one really knew how many shelters were not meeting the state's standards. This summer, a group of college students went to find out. The results showed changes need to be made.
Ultimately, the goal was to determine is more funding at the state level necessary and more oversight at the state level necessary.
Tonight on WKYT at 6, we'll see what counties this new study says have the worst animal shelters in the state. Well, 3 American swimmers are not allowed to leave Rio until they testify about an alleged robbery last weekend.
This story gets stranger by the hour. Brazilian police say their stories just don't match up. And now one official says gold medalist Ryan Lochte lied. Jamie Yukas has the latest from Rio.
2 American Olympic swimmers pulled off a plane leaving Rio last night, and another still in the city, are all expected to speak with Brazilian police today. Jack Conger, Gunnar Bentz, and Jimmy Fagan will be questioned again about a reported robbery and what police believe are conflicting accounts. The athletes say they were held up at gunpoint early Sunday morning as they returned to the athletes' village from a party. 12-time medalist Ryan Lochte was with them. Before departing Rio, he told NBC armed gunmen posing as police pulled over their taxi.
The guy pulled out his gun, he cocked it, put it to my forehead, he said, "Get down," and I was like, I put my hands up, I was like, whatever.
Lochte apparently then told police a single gunman held them up and took $400. While Jimmy Fagan claimed there were several robbers and one was armed. Wednesday night, Lochte's version changed again. He reportedly told NBC there were exactly 2 gunmen and that the gun was just pointed generally in his direction. He also said the swimmer's taxi was not pulled over, but instead was at a gas station when they were held up. This surveillance video the Daily Mail obtained is also raising questions. It shows the athletes arriving at the Olympic Village around 7 a.m. Sunday morning. Brazilian authorities note the men did not appear shaken and even joked around. Lochte's lawyer says there is no question the robbery happened and Brazilian officials are just trying to deflect criticism of problems at the Rio Games. Jamie Yukas, CBS News, Rio de Janeiro.
And Lochte won a gold medal in Rio as a member of a relay team.
A Lexington homeowner has a huge mess to clean up this midday. A very large and very old tree toppled to the ground last night, narrowly missing 2 homes. But now, as WKYT's Caitlin Sentner explains, it's the chatter about what caused it to fall that has people talking.
A family has lived in this home for more than 2 decades. A tree in their yard they say was hundreds of years old came toppling down yesterday. Neighbors hearing noises outside of their homes and coming out to find this yard consumed.
I heard this big crash and I thought it was just a loud clap of thunder.
It wasn't. Charles Shipley got a call at work to come home right away.
As I come up the street here, I could see, yep, the tree came down. The sky was all clear over here where I usually see the tree. And there was a policeman standing in the road, and I was, what am I going to do, you know?
Although Shipley didn't see it happen, neighbors tell him the tree just fell. Right now, he has no explanation as to why, except a couple of theories. One neighbor saying they think there's a groundhog issue causing the large tree to fall over.
I've always heard that bur oaks don't like to have the ground around them disturbed much, and being really close to the driveway, and I've got compost heap back there, and I'm figuring that that kind of stuff damaged the roots.
Homeowners say the city came out yesterday and cleaned out the sidewalk and a bit of the street. They still don't know what they're going to do with the rest of the tree, though. In Lexington, Caitlin Setner, WKYT.
And the homeowner hopes he'll be able to sell parts of the tree as firewood. The 112th annual Kentucky State Fair is officially underway. The 11-day celebration in Louisville features hundreds of exhibits, as well as food, rides, concerts, and the World's Championship Horse Show. The main stage concert series opens today with Reba McEntire and special guest Parmalee. Fair admission is $10.
All right, it's off and rolling over there. Well, one look at the huge wall of flames in Southern California and the frustration of firefighters becomes abundantly clear. We'll have the latest on the Blue Cut wildfire coming up in about 2 minutes.
And its nickname is the Flying Bomb. Why talk of getting this huge aircraft off the ground isn't just a lot of hot air.
Welcome back into Kentucky's #1 midday news. Hillary Clinton is meeting today with law enforcement leaders, including the retiring New York City Police Commissioner, who recently said that Donald Trump's candidacy scared him.
Clinton campaign aides say that she is meeting in New York with 8 leading law enforcement leaders, including retiring Commissioner Bill Bratton of New York and his successor James O'Neill. Clinton's meeting comes as Trump has accused her of being, quote, against the police, and he vowed to restore law and order if elected president. Aides said Clinton's meeting has been planned for several weeks.
That huge and stubborn Blue Cut wildfire in Southern California has grown even larger and is threatening homes outside of Los Angeles. Firefighters say they have never seen anything like it. The firefight continues on the ground and from the air. This wildfire has grown to more than 40 square miles at this point, almost the size of San Francisco. The entire community of Wrightwood remains under a mandatory evacuation order this afternoon.
An attempt by McDonald's to get kids moving is not working out the way they might have hoped. A McDonald's representative says the company will no longer be putting their new activity trackers in Happy Meals after reports that the trackers may cause skin irritations. The company spokesman says that the company is fully investigating the issue. The chain has a reputation for serving fattening junk food, an image it's been trying to change over the years, especially with parents.
Uber says it will start hauling passengers with self-driving cars on the streets of Pittsburgh. The company says the autonomous Ford Fusions will have human backup drivers, but will transport passengers just like normal as far as in those Uber vehicles. Uber has a self-driving research lab in Pittsburgh and is working on autonomous technology. The company says the new program will start in the next several weeks. Okay, hope that all works. It's a hybrid of a blimp, a helicopter, and a plane. For the first time ever, the Airlander 10 flew over an airfield in England. Hundreds showed up just to watch it take off. The aircraft is filled with helium and it can stay aloft for days at a time. It's 300 feet long and is designed to use less fuel than a plane, but carry heavier loads than conventional airships. There you go.
A strange looking thing, isn't it?
Something else different.
Yes.
And keep it here, an update on a Kentucky family's efforts to return a World War II soldier's Bible to his family. That's coming up on WKYT News at 12:30.
Isolated flash flooding is a possibility as we travel throughout your afternoon. I'm going to show you where I expect that coming up next.
Now, your zone-by-zone forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
There's really not a lot of rain outside in terms of how much area it's covering up, but where it is coming down pretty good, and it's not moving all that much. We can see some isolated flash flooding issues, so I want to get right into it. We've heard about some issues in some parts of Rockcastle County. Right now, that's kind of withered away, and it's staying just to the north of you guys. But there's two areas of concern at this moment, and one's in Lincoln County. As you can see, that sticks out like a sore thumb. That is some heavy rain right there. Cross 150, it's in between Stanford, and then work your way down into Crab Orchard. That's area number one, so you just got to keep in mind that has not moved much, right around an inch of rain in that area already. Looks like we could add to that because it's just not moving that much. The next area of concern, back towards 68 near Lebanon, just north of Bradfordsville, and that's right along that 68 corridor. That's a wet go at it right there, and that has not moved either. I've been watching it for the past 1 to 2 hours, and it's just not moving that much. It continues to build in those two areas. So if we're looking for two areas or just an area of concern for flash flooding, it's those two spots in between Lebanon, and also make your way over toward Boyle County across 68, and then the next one, Stanford down 150 toward Crab Orchard. Those are areas, if we could see a flash flood warning, those two would be the areas that we actually see that. 40% chance of rain down south. Now, if you're seeing rain, obviously that's 100%. But just all together, just put them in as a group, yeah, anywhere from, I would say, that 150 corridor down south, and then over toward Howard Rogers Parkway, 15 going anywhere from, say, Jackson and Breathitt County to Hazard. It's a good 40% chance of rain, and some of these could be heavy and some of these will not move. That's going to cause some problems with some flash flooding. Let's talk about your day on Saturday. Friday, a few storms here and there, definitely no washouts, but that could cause a couple of problems too because you'll have some heavy downpours. Saturday and Sunday are big days, and I want to show you some good news. New weather data just now coming in. I was just looking at this. Here's the new timing on this system rolling on in. It's good news for a lot of us, okay? Saturday during the day. Obviously, not everybody sees the rain on Saturday daylight hours. There's 4 p.m. About a 40% chance of rain is what we're calling for. However, you go off into the night, and there you go with some widespread rain. So really, it's going to be Saturday night into Sunday morning. That moves on out of the way, and actually Sunday afternoon looks really good. Sunday afternoon will be fantastic at 79 degrees. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, guys, we're sitting there in the 70s. This is some nice feeling days ahead. Sunday afternoon through Wednesday, as of right now, look really nice.
All right.
Feel great, too.
Good.
There you go. It's
Awesome.
coming.
We
It's
look
coming.
forward to that.
That's
Thank
right.
you. And we're coming back on WKYT. A Lexington native is a step closer to Olympic gold.
And a group that could make the biggest difference for Mark Stoops' football Cats. Dave Baker has sports next.
Checking stocks as we head to break this afternoon. The major market indicators mixed. The Dow off just a bit.
Day 12 of the Rio Games underway, and within the last hour, Lexington's Tyson Gay helped the USA turn in the fastest qualifying time in a men's 4x100 meter relay. He's not expected to compete in the finals tonight, but would still win a gold medal if the Americans win because of his qualifying spot. Mark Stoops has been ratcheting up the intensity on the position groups and players all fall camp, especially the receivers, who must be better and, more importantly, more consistent for the Cats to take that proverbial next step. ESPN is ranking the SEC by positions, and on the Cats, they're ranked 6th on the receivers and tight ends category. That's ahead of the likes of Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia.
They've grown a lot. They've been, I like the way they're going about their business. They've been very energetic. They've been leaders. They've been making plays. And if they made a bad play or a drop, they've just moved right on and made the next one. So I've been very pleased with the progress we've made there.
All right, so tonight on the Big Blue Insider with Dick Gabriel, former football Wildcat Jeremy Jarman, on what he's seen from the Wildcats so far, and UK volleyball coach Craig Skinner. His season begins a week from Friday. That's at 6 on 630 WLAP. They have also got a media skills challenge at volleyball this afternoon. I think Lee K is going to do that. So that should be hours of great footage we'll have for you. That's coming up a bit later. And when we come right back, much more WKYT News at noon is straight ahead.